The sharp whistle of wind kicking up dust across the plains tore John Parker from his Texas porch as noon blazed over his 200-acre ranch. A dry gust that rattled the screen door and sent a swirl of grit stinging his eyes, his rifle leaping to his hands as the coffee mug slipped from his grip, shattering on the weathered boards with a crash that echoed through the parched stillness. He stood tall, his heart pounding like a war drum in his chest. The burn scar on his forearm throbbing faintly as he squinted toward the horizon, the lake's silver surface dulled by a haze of dust rising from the west. The golden plains shimmering under a relentless sun, now blurred by an approaching storm of sand and doubt. After last night's victory on the ridge, breaking Grayson's storm-cloaked ambush with Ethan's aid, John had dared to believe the boy was turning a corner, his loyalty forged in mud and blood. But now the air thickened with more than dust, an unease he couldn't name, a whisper of betrayal stirring in the wind, and he'd face it with the steel of his 54 years. He strode to the barn, saddling Dusty with hands steady from decades of grit, the chestnut mare snorting at the dry air, and rode toward the western fence, rifle raised high. The wildflowers along the plains choking under the dust's dry grip, their colors fading as he braced for the shadow lurking within the storm. The air grew heavy with grit and heat as he spurred Dusty along the fence line, the sun a hazy orb overhead, its light diffused by the swirling dust that scratched at his throat and coated his Stetson in a fine layer of sand, the lake's edge barely visible through the thickening veil. He reined in near the western gate, dismounting with a thud that stirred a cloud around his boots, the silence broken by the faint hum of an engine cutting through the wind, a sleek silver car, its chrome glinting dully, parked crooked on the highway shoulder beyond the fence, a figure leaning against it, arms crossed, her silhouette sharp despite the haze. John's gut twisted as he approached, rifle steady, the dust stinging his eyes as recognition hit like a punch. Lila, Ethan's ex, her blonde hair whipping in the wind, designer sunglasses perched on her nose, a smirk curling her lips as she waved a mocking hand, her voice slicing through the storm like a blade. "Hey, old man, miss me? Got a message for your precious boy." John's blood ran cold, suspicion coiling tight, his voice low and steady as he towered over the gate, the rifle resting against his thigh. "You're done here. Lila, Ethan's cut you loose. Get off my land. What's this message?" She laughed, a sharp bark that grated against the wind, stepping closer, her heels sinking into the dirt as she tossed a folded note over the fence, the paper fluttering to his feet like a taunt. "Oh, he's not cut me. He's weak, John. That's from friend in Dallas. Ethan's been planning to cash out again. Thought you should know before you trust him too deep." Her smirk widened, eyes glinting behind the shades, and John's chest tightened, rage simmering beneath his calm, the note a cold weight as he snatched it up, unfolding it to reveal a scrawled promise. "Hey, 10K more. Meet me. Ditch the ranch. D." He crumpled it, his jaw clenching hard, the dust storm a roaring shroud around them as he glared at her, voice steel. "Lies, Ethan's here, fight. You're poison. Get gone, or I'll drag you off myself." Lila shrugged, unfazed, her voice dripping with venom. "Believe what you want, old man. He's my dog, always will be. Tell him I said hi." She turned, sliding into the car, the engine purring as she peeled off, dust trailing in her wake, the lake a faint shimmer through the haze, leaving John alone with the note and a storm of doubt clawing at his trust. He hauled back to the house, tethering Dusty, and burst inside, the note slamming on the table with a thud that rattled the mugs. "Frank, Mary Ellen, up!" He barked, voice rough, the crew stirring. Frank Hensley from the couch, gray hair wild, pistol leaping to his grip. Mary Ellen Carter from the kitchen, braids swinging, shotgun ready. Jake, Sarah, and Matt tumbling from their rooms, faces tense. Tom Carter trailing, shovel from the barn in hand. Ethan staggering from the hall, eyes bleary, but widening at the fury in John's stride. "Lila's back," John said, pointing to the note. its creases stark in the lantern light. Says Ethan's plot in. Dallas Cash, selling us out. Frank's eyes darkened, his soldiers calm steady as he studied the scroll. Her words dirt. Ethan's bled for us. Could be a plant. Mary Ellen poured coffee, her hand firm, her voice edged. She's a snake, stirring trouble after Grayson's hit. Ethan, what's this? Ethan's face paled, his hands trembling as he stepped forward, voice cracking. Dad, I swear, I ain't talked to her. She's lying, trying to break us. Jake lunged, grabbing Ethan's collar. Voice raw. Break us? You ran once. Lila's your shadow, huh? Sarah pulled Jake back, her voice steady. Easy. Hardgrove can check her. Notes vague, could be bait. Matt opened his laptop. Fingers flying. Dallas. Same as the Ridge hit? I'll trace, phone logs, anything. John's jaw tightened, trust fraying, the rifle close. Ethan, truth now. No games, or you're out. Ethan sank to a chair, head in hands, voice raw. I cut her off, swear it, Dad. She's mad I stayed. Kabir setting me up. The room tensed, dust tapping the windows. When a low rumble broke the silence. Engines, plural, growling through the storm, headlights piercing the haze outside. John swung the rifle up, peering out, 3 trucks dust-caked. Rolling slow past the fence, men in dark gear spilling out, wire cutters glinting, a 4th figure in a suit watching from a sedan, his silver hair catching the sun. Lang, Grayson's lawyer, smirking through the grit. Now, John roared, charging outside, rifle raised, the crew behind. Ethan bolting to prove himself, Jake and Tom flanking, Frank and Mary Ellen covering the porch. The dust was a blinding wall as John tackled a cutter, slamming him into the dirt, wire snapping free. Ethan pinning another, his fist cracking ribs, Jake hauling a 3rd down. The storm a chaotic roar around them. Lang shouted from the sedan, voice sharp. Legal survey, state orders. You can't stop this, Parker. John fired a shot over his head. The cracks splitting the dust, Lang ducking as the cutters froze, fear in their eyes. Who's paying? John growled, wrenching his man's arm, the lake a faint gleam beyond the haze. The cutter gasped, voice ragged. Lang, Dallas Cash. Said cut and run, scare you. Hargrove's siren wailed, patrol car screeching in, lights cutting the dust, deputies cuffing them, Lang's sedan peeling off. The note bagged. Goch in Argrovi Barkit, Baja Glinching. Lang's loose, Grayson's pull. Ethan's clear, Lila's bait. Dusk fell, the dust settling. The crew gathered. Coffee steaming, Ethan steady. Trust mending, the map marked with Lang's retreat. Doubts ash, Frank said, pistol gleaming. But Lang's alive, watch him. John met Ethan's gaze, voice steel. You fought, truth held. Stay it. Across the ridge, a light blinked, binoculars, then gone. He chambered around, the click loud, ready for the dust's next lie.